Walked away from emotional affair as third party starting to see cheating everywhere. Noticed my friendship with coworker was turning into an emotional affair, so I addressed it, she denied, and I walked away even though I had fallen in love. Then started seeing cheating everywhere but getting gaslit and wondering if I am seeing things correctly or just jaded. Healthy lessons learned. So I met a girl at work and we hit it off, and I knew she had a babe who was working toward being a doctor. I have a lot of friends who are girls as I work mainly with other girls, so I didn't think too much about befriending her. However, I also have started really working on myself those last 2-3 years, and was starting to get more attention from girls by this time as well. I got her number, met with her PEF to ask about joining the military. Afterwards, she began texting me almost daily to chat or hang out, but that year, and I was in a pretty dark place at that time. Since I had just lost my sister to suicide, and this girl was there for me in many ways, some of my other friends were not. She even cooked for me twice, since she noticed I was snacking at work because I wasn't really cooking my meal before work. She had all the red flags: father serial cheater or not there, financially dependent on us. Cheated before, been in bad past relationships, promiscuous past, victim mentality. We were hanging out a lot one-on-one and I felt like we were having a really good connection with many things in common, but I am ashamed to admit many hangouts were very flirty. After about 3 months, I went over to her and her beef house to work on a furniture project, and her brother had also just moved into the house. I didn't realize until I got there that her bef was out of state at a doctor's convention. We went got food, were watching which was where things got too far. It was cold, we got blankets, and her legs ended up on mine, and there was a moment where I just knew she wanted me to make a move. This is where I paused and realized that we were going too damn far. I tried breaking the tension and soon left, realizing what a bad situation we put ourselves in. I'm not going to say I didn't mess up by flirting with her as well, but usually even with friends who are girls, flirting isn't that serious. The next day at work, I sought the help from my other female friend, saying I fucked up and to hang out with me and the other coworker to see her opinion, but also thinking that if I avoided one-on-one hangouts we could be more appropriate. This ended up not being the case. Although we started only hanging out in groups, my other girlfriends were catching on to this. She even started telling me about problems in her relationship, and I avoided answering and instead asked about her bef, like why he never was hanging out with us or hearing about the hardships he had faced. This girl was also catching on that I was distancing myself. I knew I needed to walk away, but I realized too late that I ended up falling in love for the first time. Soon one day one of my friends had told me that this girl was saying how she hates how her guy friends fall in love with her and how she isn't flirty at all. When I heard this, I was upset, not mainly because she didn't want me, but because she didn't seem to have any awareness or accountability, just trying to play victim. I began ignoring her, but she caught on quick, and I confronted her that our relationship as friends has not been appropriate at all and we needed to address it. She denied the emotional affair and told me that her even knew about that night on the couch and that he just said to be careful but didn't think it was a big deal. I told her I fell in love and I made her admit what it was that she was getting from me that she wasn't getting from her relationship, and she admitted it was Tim. She wanted to stay friends and I got angry, saying that to continue to be friends was disrespectful to me and her. I ignored her for months after this because I felt used and in disbelief that she was telling the truth to avoid accountability, but before I went for back I had a talk with her one final time. I told her although that I was still in love with her that I could never accept cheating monkey branching. I just wanted both of us to take accountability for building an emotional affair. I wanted to have an honest conversation about how and what led to this situation of broken boundaries and how me walking away was the right decision. She denied doing anything wrong, that she didn't have any feelings for me, and how that night was nothing at all concerning boundary breaking, and how her bef knew and didn't care. I held my ground, saying it was a big deal, that all the flirting was wrong, and that I didn't actually believe her beef knew. I told her even if he did know that may have been worse, that he and her had such poor boundaries or naivete. She offered to let me call him, but honestly I couldn't, not for my own guilt, but because truth be told I could tell this girl financially was dependent upon him and I didn't want her to get hurt. I then told her it didn't matter either way if she was lying or telling the truth. It points to her if not loving her enough to care, or her not loving her if she was going to have an obvious emotional affair for time and not acknowledge it. I asked her if she truly believed she was making the right choice by choosing him, and she said yes, and that she was happy. I told her I believed she was abandoning herself for money and was headed down the wrong path. I told her for how she couldn't take accountability I could never accept her and blocked her on everything, but this experience really fucked me up. I understand if some people will say I got what I deserved, they wouldn't be wrong, but I can honestly say it was carelessness on my part. Whether you believe me or not is up to you. After all this, that same year, I also experienced many other instances of cheating, broken boundaries, and I believe handled them correctly. Asked for a girl's, she tells me she has a beef but wants to give me her Insta. Also, this is after hard flirting, like hand on leg type shit. I took my phone back and said no thanks, that doesn't seem right, and her is a lucky man. Not really, but oh well. A girlfriend of mine who has a beef who didn't show to a dinner told me you'll be my bef name for the evening. I told her straight to her face, don't say that, it isn't appropriate. Battle booze with a girl at Becht only to find out she had a fying. Told her I found out she was a cheater. It was unacceptable and goodbye. Lesson I learned is you yourself are probably broken if you find yourself attracted to a broken person, and will probably end up hurting both of yourselves unless you acknowledge you need to heal first. The main girl I went through that ordeal with, I found out got engaged to that guy, and honestly, as someone who I did fall in love with, it hit hard that she truly is just abandoning herself by marrying for money, because she wouldn't have cheated. Emotional affair. If she loved him, or if he loved her, he would have caught on or cared enough to sacrifice time for her. I know I should hate her for what she did, but I can't help but still care about her. Not that I will ever love her again or allow her back into my life. In the end, I want to ask Pubble's opinion on and get the main experience off my chest. Do you believe she was right, wrong? Do you think she is truly happy with him or headed toward an unhappy life? Do you think she really had no feelings for me, or was she lying, hoping that if she said that she could just pin the blame on me for falling in love? I've become really pessimistic about women cheating these days. I have really been succeeding in all aspects of life, so I have been more successful with dating, and have only noticed that this age of dating is really toxic and unnerving. I've been going to therapy to work through my flaws, and honestly have been realizing how to build and choose healthier relationships, so with luck hopefully I'll find the right one. Final lesson I learned is that men really need to step it up, as we are the leaders who need to be better men, husbands, fathers, in order to make sure we shape society and our children better, so we don't keep creating these broken, unhealthy people. Fuck feminism poisoning young women's minds, and fuck red pill for infecting young men's minds. I also study work in the field of psychology, so I can tell you healthy relationships are not built from either of those two extreme ideologies. If you want to learn how to do so healthily, look up Sadia Ken. Most of what she preaches are psychologically and statistically true to building healthy relationships.